Hey, dumb body guy here, getting ready to sand some primer. What does the Bible talk about as far as war and weapons and stuff like that? Well, the first thing is with the Messiah or whatever, he's sitting at the Last Supper. Luke 22, verse 36. He says, he says, if you don't have a sword, go buy a sword, sell your coat, sell whatever you got, and get a sword, get a weapon. Um, that's at the Last Supper. It's interesting. Now, with these swords and everything, are we ever going to personally fight for God? Are we ever going to fight for the Messiah? Um, yeah, I definitely think we are. One story I think is pretty interesting is where Moses is. It's in Exodus 17 where they're fighting. Amalek comes and they're going to fight him. He tells Joshua, which a little side note, that's the name that would have been better translated for the Messiah, other than Jesus. So like Joshua, his original name would have been like Yeshua or Yoshua or something like that. I'm not with pronunciation and everything. That's as long as we're trying. You know what I mean? So he tells Joshua to go battle Amalek, and he's going to go up on a hill and hold the rod of God in his hand. So our Messiah says he's going to come back here and rule with a rod of iron. So, I mean, how much more amazing is it going to be if that rod is held up, you know, held up as a sign or held up as a signet, and we're fighting. That's gonna be pretty exciting. Now, as far as like the Messiah, I know everybody says, he comes here to give hugs and hand out puppies, and he is very loving to his people. I'm not going to say he's not, but so when he comes back, he comes back during war, judgment. You really got to look into like the Jewish stuff as far as Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David. Those are the two Messiahs they're waiting for, but they're all fulfilled in the same, with our Messiah. They're fulfilled both ways. One's a suffering servant, the other one is a warrior, and it's pretty amazing. Um, so one of the stories with our Messiah, basically, I think it's funny because it's all in the same chapter. John 18, you got Peter there. He cuts off the high priest's servant's ear. And then the Messiah's yelling at Peter like, "Hey, don't do that. Put your sword back in your sheath." That's verse 10. And then in the same exact chapter, verse 36, he says, his kingdom hasn't come yet, or he says, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my people would fight for me." We're all waiting for this millennial reign with him king. That's pretty interesting. And he finishes that verse. He says, that he wouldn't be delivered with the Jews. And then he says, "But now my kingdom is not of this world." So right now it's not of this world, but someday, he's going to be reigning as king. So I find that pretty awesome. All in the same chapter. He says, "Don't fight for me, but when I'm in my kingdom, you better fight for me." So with the Messiah ben Joseph and the Messiah ben David, and then also in the John 18 there, where he tells him to, to not harm this guy, and then he says, verses later that when I come to my kingdom, my people are going to fight for me. I think he wants us to follow him. We're supposed to be humble. He says, "Pick up your cross and follow me." So right now, we're supposed to be good. We're supposed to, not fast with violence and everything. And I mean, if you've seen any of my videos, you know I believe in a greater exodus. And we've got to help our neighbor. Because I say it all the time to like other people I know. I don't know who he chose from the beginning of the earth. So I'm going to be as decent as I can to everybody. That's not my department. He says, "You be fishers of men and I'll sort them out later." So I got to be decent, you know, as best I can. So I think right now we're supposed to be like he was when he was here, you know, loving and helping everybody and all that. But then when he's in his kingdom, you know, that's a totally different story. So what would his army look like, you know, when he comes into his kingdom? What would his army look like? Well, let's read Joel 2, and I'd like to read it word for word. I'll be reading this from the King James version, and I do like other versions better, but this is what I got here. So this is Joel 2, verses 1 through 16. Blow ye a trumpet in Zion, and sound the alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There has not been like ever, neither shall there be any more after it, even for many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, and nothing will escape them. The appearance of them is like the appearance of horses and of horsemen, so shall they run. A noise of chariots on the top of mountains shall they leap, like a noise of the flame of fire that devoureth the stubble. As a strong people set in a battle array. Before their face people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the walls like men of war. And they shall march every one in his way, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another, they shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they will not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the cities, they shall run upon the walls, they shall climb up into the houses, they shall enter in the window like a thief. The earth shall quake before them, and the heavens will tremble. And the sun and moon shall be dark, and the stars will withdraw their shining. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for the camp is very great. For he is a strong that execute his word. For the day of the Lord is a great and very terrible, and who could abide it? Therefore now saith the Lord, turn even to me with all your hearts, and with all fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning, and rent your heart and not your garments, and turn unto the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of his evil. Who knows if he will return and repent, and leave blessings behind him, even meat offerings and drink offerings until the Lord your God. Blow ye a trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify a congregation. Assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth out of his chamber, and let the bride out of her closet. Man, that's just, every time I read it, I just get cold chills. So, you know, one thing that I will say, and I'm going to go into a lot of it in my videos, is I believe in a greater Exodus. And this chapter, just in those 16 verses, it says, blow ye a trumpet in Zion twice. And you know, there's people that come out of countries and everything, and they're asking the way to Zion, and it just screams that people are going to be going back there someday. And you know, we always got told, well, you're going to hear a trumpet before he comes. Well, this right here 2 times says the trumpet's blowing in Zion. So, well, tell me what you think, guys, and hopefully you enjoy this video. And you know, when he comes into his kingdom, I'm gonna fight for him. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Bye bye.